Touching down after a surveillance flight over Syria, the crews on board these French warplanes known as RAFALEs are part of a top-secret mission. They can only give us their nicknames and must keep their faces hidden.
Our main target zone at the moment is really this very last enclave. And then from time to time we offer air support to Allied convoys. We fly above them and check the surroundings. But most of our activity right now is the Baghouz enclave.
There was no fighting today, but over the past few years the international coalition has dropped thousands of bombs on jihadi fighters below.
These red tags you see here are what we call flames. It's a security device that's attached to the bomb. Once the bomb has been used, the armorers hand these tags over to the crew. So all of these flames here are bombs we've dropped on Iraq and Syria over the past 4 years as part of Operation Shamal.
No sooner has Commander PANCHO's patrol returned to the airbase, and another team is preparing to take off.
Mon commandant, messieurs, dames, le briefing météo pour aujourd'hui. Donc en altitude, la situation elle se caractérise par cet effet dorsal sur l'ensemble du théâtre qui nous donne actuellement de très bonnes conditions.
Okay. La petite spécificité par contre pour vous, c'est qu'on sera en procédure hotspot. Donc, vous prévoyez la bretelle delta pour l'armement et le désarmement.
Okay. Our mission is to fly over Iraq and Syria and provide support to the Syrian Democratic Forces troops on the ground. We're here to face possible emergency situations. There are no planned targets.
Backing the Syrian Democratic Forces has become the coalition's main priority. French, British and American warplanes take it in turns to patrol from above 24 hours a day. Now that most training camps have been destroyed, IS-controlled territory has almost disappeared.
From what we know, this is the Caliphate's last known enclave. We're nearing the end, but the situation is still very tense. We try to make our strikes as precise as possible because, unfortunately, the enemy is now ever closer to civilians. And we want to avoid any collateral damage on civilian life still in the area.
For the last few months, they've been surrounding the village of Baghouz, the only remaining pocket still in the hands of the Islamic State group. While the coalition relies on forces on the ground to track the enemy's position at all times, the Atlantic II crew provide reconnaissance from the sky.
Gathering intelligence is meticulous work. As the saying goes, lightning never strikes twice, so the enemy has a tendency to return to zones we've already targeted. That's why our aircraft watches over those locations to be sure the enemy hasn't returned.
As night falls, the pilots return from their mission. While there were no strikes tonight, they did notice some activity.
Most of the activity was coming from the south, but it was difficult to determine what it was. We're not here to decipher or to interpret. Our aim is to pass on information about what we see. It was very calm tonight. The morning's fighting must have tired out the belligerents. Logically, this means nights are calmer.
The French military also has troops on the ground. The Wagram task force backs the SDF from a distance, a tactic that has been criticised by their former chief. He accuses Western allies of failing to provide the necessary means so as to avoid losses, leaving fighters wholly dependent on the Kurdish forces' goodwill. But Colonel Philippe disagrees.
I think we have the means to wage this war. We've been leading the fight alongside them. We were by their side. They've done a most significant job on the ground. They've spilled a lot of their own blood in this war. So I think that saying they haven't done their job properly would be a lack of respect.
And while the Syrian Democratic Forces recently announced they'd taken back Baghouz, the threat hasn't disappeared.
The global war against the so-called Islamic State is not over. Their ideology has spread across the world, and even though many have gone into hiding, many fighters are still present.
The so-called caliphate has been eliminated, but with jihadi fighters still holding influence over several areas of Iraq and Syria, the fight is far from over.